It all starts with an Onion article, like so many other things, Brad. Back in 2011, I read an Onion article that said the American people hire lobbyists to fight for their interests on Capitol Hill. And then there's a picture of a guy in a suit being like, now they'll take the American people seriously.
Welcome to Mission DeFi with Brad Nickel, where we explore projects in decentralized finance that are innovating and driving our mission of financial freedom forward. Thank you for listening. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, rate, and review Mission DeFi and spread the word by posting a tweet to the show. All opinions expressed by Brad Nickel or his guests are their opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Black Knox, Material Indicators, or any other affiliated organizations. You should not treat any opinion expressed by Brad Nickel or his guests as an inducement to make a particular investment, follow a particular strategy, or become involved with any project. A project being featured on the show is not an endorsement of that project in any way. This podcast is for informational purposes only. Now, here's Mission DeFi with Brad Nickel.
All right, I am excited today to have somebody I've admired for quite a while, Andrew Yang, joining us on Mission DeFi today because Andrew has started an organization called Lobby3 with the intent and purpose to do a lot of what we try to do around here, which is let the world know what's going on in Web3 and DeFi and cryptocurrency. So Andrew, welcome. First, let me say I've spent a lot of time admiring your campaign. I was excited to be a part of it, and I appreciate your pragmatic approach that you've taken. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we do with the Lobby3 in the same way. So thanks for coming.
Oh, thank you, Brad. Appreciate it. Someone the other day called me the first de facto crypto candidate, and I was like, oh, wow. Like, I'll take that as a compliment.
That's pretty awesome. That is a compliment. Yeah, that's definitely a compliment. Look, I think overall what we're all trying to do is get people to see the value and embrace it. And I think that we obviously see that there are factions within Congress that are obviously opposed to what it is without probably understanding what it is and what it can bring to the table. What kind of really made you guys say, you know what, we need to take an action and move things forward and create this organization?
It all starts with an Onion article, like so many other things, Brad. Back in 2011, I read an Onion article that said the American people hire lobbyists to fight for their interests on Capitol Hill. And then there's a picture of a guy in a suit being like, now they'll take the American people seriously. And I thought this was hysterical.
Perfect.
But also, I thought to myself, why don't we do that? That actually might help. So then 9 years later, I run for president. I make a case for universal basic income. And this is really what led me to the Web3 community because some of the biggest and most ardent and earliest supporters of my campaign were from the crypto world, where in my experience, 80 to 90% of them are for some version of basic income or cash transfers or something because
Yeah.
they see the disruption that's going on. So after my campaign ended, I actually then started to try and figure out how to influence policy on Capitol Hill to alleviate or eliminate or reduce poverty. And so I started to figure out, it's like, oh, this is how lobbying works. That these are the things that people do to try and influence policy if they're a big company, for example. So I was starting to learn the lay of the land throughout 2020 and 2021, trying to combat poverty. Simultaneously, I came to realize that Web3 was perhaps the most powerful anti-poverty tools available. And oh, by the way, it seems like some people in DC are confused or dubious or skeptical or hostile. And so it was one of these like 2 + 2 = 18 situations where I was like, wait a minute. Like there's actually like a massive need and a massive opportunity for value preservation, value creation. And so I turned to my team and was like, we should definitely do this. And what are we going to call it? It became Lobby 3. And that's what led us here. But it was like a multi-year arc, truly.
Yeah, I'm sure. In your approach to how you're setting up Lobby 3, it feels very much like a DAO, right? A decentralized autonomous organization, because you've got this kind of community engagement and NFT engagement. Do you also, though, have to go through the whole we're registering as a lobbyist and all of that stuff that happens from a regulatory perspective?
We're going to be playing both an inside game and an outside game, Brad. So Lobby 3 DAO is a DAO, as you say. It will have a treasury. It will have a thriving community of people that are going to be animated and energized, but also possibly eager to learn, because we're going to have AMAs with public officials, with senators and members of Congress, with maybe like a regulator or two. Like there could be exchanges of information. On the other side, a lot of the resources are going to go towards traditional advocacy and lobby activities. So there will be suit wearing people walking into office buildings, and that's the inside game. That's the Onion article in a way. But there will be a DAO that will be truly guided by the people and what they want to see.
Awesome. Do you expect that you will also be, as an organization, that it'll also be taking part in campaigns, advocating for candidates, or as a super PAC of some kind, or any of those kinds of on the campaign side of things?
Lobby
Participation?
3 DAO is not meant to be political in that way. We're going to be making a positive case for these technologies. And I'll just throw out a couple of examples. I spoke to an entrepreneur who's using the blockchain to allow patients to secure their own medical records and data that they port with them through hundreds of facilities in the South. And that's not the kind of thing you hear about in DC.
Right.
There are also so many creators who have found a new way to make a living for themselves that wasn't possible without these digital currencies. So we're going to make a case around uses and try to humanize it, because right now in DC, there's a bit of an extreme caricature being drawn. I think we all know what it is.
Exactly. I think that's a great approach. And the rest of us on the other side, there are plenty of super PACs and people getting involved in campaigns. I'm really working hard for Erica Rhodes as much as I can because I love
Good,
her.
good man. And I will say, if I put my political hat on, so I started the Forward Party because I think that the two-party system's not working, and I'm also supporting Erica Rhodes. So there are activities around pro crypto candidates that, by the way, very supportive of. And the Forward Party, actually, some of our biggest champions thus far have been from Web3. But Lobby 3 is its own thing.
Sure. Yeah, no, I get it. But it allows you to play both sides of the equation. That's awesome. I think that's great. Have you had conversations yet with your former party, my party, formerly Democrats in office yet, about crypto? Have you guys been able to start down that path, or do you feel like you wanted to get all the pieces in place first before you had those conversations?
We have done some temperature taking, Brad. I have some good news and bad news here. So the good news is that the predominant response from members is confusion.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's good. We might be able
Give us
to
an opportunity to
clarify.
educate.
The bad news is that some people have formed opinions and they are hostile overtly.
Yes.
And other people that have not formed their opinions are coming in skeptical. So that's the situation as it stands from a lot of the Dems that we've been in touch with.
Yeah. Look, I think the saddest thing for me as a lifelong Democrat is that the fact that I'm going to use exactly Senator Warren as an example, right? Here's someone who fought hard to make banks fair, fought hard to level the playing field for poor people or people of lower middle class to have a fair shake with banking and the financial system. And for me, one of the hardest things is seeing someone like her, who I know cares about people, not taking that dive into this to understand what's possible with it. I was talking, there's a project called Superfluid in Web3, and it's streaming money. And this is a really simple thing. But the idea is that you were an artist or a graphic designer or something, and you were working, say, hourly for them over a 2-month period, like on a contract. Rather than waiting, getting half down and half at the end of the project, over the course of the project, money is streamed to you every minute in the form of cryptocurrencies into your wallet, right? So the money's coming into you on a regular basis. And I was remarking to someone the other day, because I interviewed the founder of this, one of the biggest problems poor people have is waiting 2 weeks to get their check
Yep, that's
because
why they get
that
exploited by check
they don't.
cashers and money lenders.
Imagine if their money was streamed so that that money.
Imagine Elizabeth Warren if their money was streamed to them.
Exactly, exactly. So I think there is just a ton of potential there. The other thing, and I'm just going to coach you because I have you here. I think that a lot of these folks in Congress don't even understand what's here, right? They've not had the opportunity to look at it. They see Coinbase, Binance, and a bunch of tokens, and they have no idea that there are actual real financial applications happening. I think one of the simplest things to say to a member of Congress is give me $100,000. I will put it into a stable yield farm. And in 1 year, you'll have $115,000. That's one of the simplest things. Now imagine that low income person that's having their income streamed to them, and 5% of that's automatically getting streamed to a yield farm. And they're earning 15% on the money that's coming in, and they don't have to take a proactive approach to saving. I think one of the big gaps for Congress is not understanding the applications that are there. And so they're being told this is bad and it uses a lot of energy and all of the other things without having an understanding of what's even happening in Web3 and DeFi.
Oh, yeah. Again, confusion is the main emotion.
Yeah,
But you do have to take a look at the lay of the land where the average US senator is 64, average member of Congress is in their late 50s. Most members of seniority are well over those numbers.
sure.
And so then if you go to them and say, hey, what do you think about Web3? They'll be like, what? And it has not been necessary at all for them to understand. And so you can almost sense why the reflex is skepticism or hostility. So we have a bit of work to do. But one of the frustrations that I have personally, Brad, is that a lot of the things that political figures say they're about, like access to inclusive financial services or not having a megacorp run your life or like a true competition or innovation or job growth, then you're like, hey, these things are a huge aspect of what Web3 can provide, but people aren't looking into it for the impact in that way. They're
Right.
overweighting the risk management, and the goal has to be to try and find a true balance. So let me say, for people who are listening to this, I'm of the school imagining that there will be no regulation or taxation is unrealistic, and that
Sure.
day is coming to a close. And so the question is, are the rules going to be what my friend calls non-insane? And the value difference between non-insane and the opposite would be enormous. And so if we can exert some energy and influence and resources, it's the right thing to do if your goal, as mine, is to improve lots of people's way of life.
Yeah, I agree completely. It's funny today I have a lunch show and we were talking today about the SEC. And one of the things that one of the commissioners keeps putting forth to the commission to approve is just a sandbox, right? Let's create a place where Americans trying to do innovative things in finance with Web3 and DeFi can operate without the normal, typical spend $150,000 with attorneys to get your project off the ground. Let's let them sandbox, educate users, and allow them to innovate, because another big problem with this is we're losing out on a lot of people. A lot of talent are leaving in the space, and a lot of innovation is going to be based elsewhere in the world because
Yep.
people are so scared to operate here.
People are running into the limits of regulation, really, and they're looking up saying, wait a minute, like, why am I giving myself brain damage in this way? Why don't I just relocate to another jurisdiction? And as an American, I will say this makes me very sad.
Me too.
And yeah, we should make it so that there are reasons to operate and grow here.
Absolutely. If any place should be the hub of financial technology innovation, you would think it would be here, but let's hope they figure that out. For you, from the perspective of educating Congress, what are you guys expecting you'll be able to do next? Is this something where you're going to start picking off the people who you think are middle of the road and friendly and working with them to provide them with materials or
Oh yeah,
ways
the
to
conventional
educate?
wisdom is yet to be uh, cemented. And I will say, Brad, that in some cases, your goal is to take someone from being really anti crypto to maybe I still don't like it, but I'm not going to come hard after certain rules. If you can just mollify someone or make them neutral, like that could be an enormous win. I'll describe to you a couple of things that I think we should be trying to do immediately. Number one is what we've heard from various congressional offices is that they don't know where they stand on this. They want some objective guidance and information, and they have misgivings about taking that guidance from what they call corporate crypto lobbyists because they're like, whatever you tell me is just going to be very industry serving. So they're still looking around to be like, okay, who's an objective source of info on this that would strike the right balance between managing the risks and helping facilitate development and growth. And so there's an opportunity there where there are bipartisan policy think tanks that are trying to figure out where they stand. And if the research that they issue ends up hewing in a particular direction, then that could influence significant members of Congress who right now still don't have any official stance. So in some cases, it's about trying to provide the right intellectual capital to folks that will frankly be more palatable.
Find the pliable ones.
Yeah, and so that's one route. The other route is that, and this one is more substantive, and it's the one that I'm very excited about, is let's say you and I have a conversation and think, wow, this could really improve the financial access for people who are right now on the outside looking in. So why don't we demonstrate that in a community, in a particular district? It might take some resources and some guidance, some training, but if we roll that out and then you have a community leader who says, hey, these tools have really helped provide stability and a path forward for us, and it's real, and then the political figure goes and checks it out and is, huh. So this is also saying that, look, like the messenger matters. And if the
Right.
messenger is a group that a political figure values because they're important to them in some way, then that's a win-win-win. Because I'm going to guess that a lot of people here would be very happy to see that kind of implementation in a community of need.
That's a brilliant idea. And sign me up to help. I would love that because I think there is one of the things I say all the time, and I've messaged you about this, is that UBI is actually possible in Web3 without a government payment. The recurring revenue that's there, the yields, the financial possibilities. Ironically, the most powerful thing about it is that as institutional investors move into this space, there's a real opportunity for real people to be actually making a living amount of money yielding off of the amounts that those people are trading. And so there's a ton of opportunities for that. I think that's a really great idea to set up an example, a pilot. And you did that for UBI during the campaign. It wouldn't be a stretch.
Yeah, and we're going to do that with Lobby3. And for anyone who wants to help with that, please do go to lobby3.io. Join us in this. I'm going to suggest that it's not just the right thing to do, but it's also pretty smart, pretty wise. Like a lot of people are builders and doers. You might not love interacting with government, which I understand completely. But if you are a builder and a doer, what you don't operate by is, yeah, like that massive thing that may affect me. Let's just trust them to,
Yeah.
understand and get it
Then
right.
they
I mean,
go.
that's just like that.
I'm sure they'll do the right thing.
That's not the way we operate. It's, oh, there's an issue. It's, oh, let me put some smarts to it. Let me put some resources to it. So that's our plan at lobby3.io. Join the Discord. You can reach out to us directly if you want to interact at a higher level, because we are building something of a council of leaders that consist of people who are deep into the space, either as individuals or organizations.
Yeah. What I will tell you, there's literally thousands of people right now who are making a living working for DAOs. They are out there creating graphics, creating memes, promoting, offering support, developing, writing code. There are literally thousands of people doing that, and all of them should be a part of this, as far as I'm concerned, because it's in their best
Amen.
interest to make that happen. You know?
People who are making livelihoods or investing their time and energy in enterprises. Yeah, let's do it. Let's get together. Like the time is now because these rules are being written soon. They're sharpening their pencils.
And the other thing is there are some big, fat, juicy treasuries out there of these massive projects that need to be contributing to Lobby3. I mean, it's in all of their best
It would
interest
be the smart
to
thing
partner
to
with
do.
you. Yeah,
It,
absolutely.
it just makes sense.
Yeah. I'll make some introductions because there's some guys out there that would be into this anyway. And I think they'd love to connect up with you guys. So
Fantastic. Thank you, Brad. Look at this. Brad is making it happen.
I will make it happen, man.
Web3 through Lobby3.
So I have a question. I started my career in politics. First 8 years of my professional career was managing political campaigns. And there was nothing I wanted to do.
Did you hate the candidate by the end? I'm kidding.
Some I loved, and I'll tell you a quick story. There was a guy. First, I started off. I was in college, and a buddy said, "Hey, go work for this guy. I know you love politics. He has no chance." This was in New Jersey. He has no chance. You'll never win. He has no money. He's running against two 25-year incumbents in the state assembly in New Jersey. Just go work for him. It'll be fun. You'll learn some skills. So we did. He knocked on thousands of doors in this little district, and we had just enough money at the end of the campaign to blast out some positive and some negative stuff, and we won. I had no clue what I was doing, but suddenly the Democratic Party is calling me to go work and manage
You're a
campaigns.
genius.
I was a
How did
genius,
you do it, Brad?
absolutely genius. And then I got lucky on the second one, and then it was all over. But I'll tell you a really quick story. I ended up in San Jose, California, working for a guy named George Shirakawa, who was running for mayor. He was a school teacher, and his campaign was in trouble just because it was dysfunctional. But I just went in, fixed up a few things, and he won by a landslide. And it was
You're like the Midas of political campaigns, Brad. Where were you when I was running for president?
I was right here, Andrew. The best thing about that campaign was, though, that every night he was Japanese and Mexican, and every other night I had home cooked Japanese and Mexican food. It was a dream.
Those are
come
my
true.
two favorite cuisines.
Me too. So 5 years, 6 years later, I don't know how many years later it was. I'm reading we have this thing called New Times here in Miami. It's like Village Voice. And I'm reading this news of the weird section. And it says George Shirakawa died of a heart attack in May of this year and won his landslide election in the general election in San Jose, California. This guy never stopped winning after I left. He just kept winning. He was a great guy. Anyway, my question for you is did you take any break, dude? Because you went from 2 years or however many years it was of presidential, straight into mayoral, and now straight into this. Have you had any come down from the whole thing? Because I remember just being, after 6 to 9 months of campaigning, just being like burnt out and depressed. So I was just curious about that.
Hey, Brad, I think it's clear that you are a political vet because most people wouldn't think about these things. But if you've been on a campaign, you're like, whoa, like that stuff exhausts you on a totally different level.
Yeah.
It's not okay, take a week off and you'll be fine.
No, it is not. It's brutal. You're living on adrenaline, right? That's the thing. It's like this constant,
And you're eating crap. You're living on
constantly,
rest stop food,
constantly. Yeah. Yeah.
especially in Iowa, Brad. I was on the road 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day. And so often it would just be like stop at the gas station and I would get out and just get whatever snacks seemed like they might approximate a meal. So I'd be getting like these mixed nuts and like it was not great.
No.
Like, popcorn was like the healthier version. The whole thing was really not the healthiest lifestyle.
No, it's brutal. So did you get a break? Did you take
I've been called to action each time. So the presidential ends, and then I still campaigned throughout much of 2020, including in Georgia. And then I went straight to the mayoral, as you say. Then after that race, I had the back end of the summer off. So that was like the biggest break I had was July, August. And I needed it, I'll be honest.
Yeah, so, man, that was nuts. Just nuts. Look, I love what you're doing. I'm excited about the efforts you're making. I'm here to help out in any way, shape, form I can, whether it's education, content, whatever you guys need. Don't hesitate. I'm very excited that you're doing this because I trust you as a leader. And I think if anybody can get the respect of people and get them to understand and look at this, it's going to be you and Zach and the team there.
Thank you, Brad. It's going to be you. It's going to be everyone who goes to Lobby3 and joins the cause, joins the effort. This really should be a popular movement because the future may depend on our success, truly. And certainly the future in America. And I'll say again, it would make me very sad if we wind up driving so much of this energy and innovation and vitality offshore. Nothing against other places. Some of them are awesome, but let's make America the hub of innovation that it's always been.
Absolutely. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you, Brad. Let's go Lobby3. See you soon.